get ready with me for content day while I kind of re-share the Love Sal story and how we ended up here. It's so crazy to think that we are over 4 years in business now. So it is 2024. Let's go back. Like, this honestly starts back like before I even knew it in 2013. Okay, so when I was in college, I had an eating disorder, and my sophomore spring of college, I ended up having to take the semester off of school to go to a treatment program. It was like a partial hospitalization treatment program. So I was living with my parents. I went to school in Virginia, and I moved back home with my parents to go to this treatment program. I could get into that story a lot more if you guys want to hear about it, but I played lacrosse in college, and honestly, I think that college athletics are great. But I also think that that was a huge factor of what led to my eating disorder and the competition and the comparison. And I think I had good intentions when I started, and it just snowballed. But that's a conversation for another day. If you guys want to hear more about that, I'm happy to get into it. So that was the spring of 2013. So I took that semester off of school and I went to the program. I was meeting with a therapist and a dietitian on a weekly basis, and honestly, they were the best team ever, and they changed my life. And so thankfully I was able to go back to school for the fall of my junior year. And I did take a couple classes online, irrelevant, but so I went back to school the fall of my junior year. So that was fall of 2013. So I really, throughout that time, before that time, even after, to this day, I really struggled with body image, and I was always feeling so uncomfortable in what I was wearing and just being in my own skin. And that was a really hard time, and a really hard, long process of the recovery journey was dealing with body image. And so when it came to clothes and trying to figure out what I was wearing, it was just everything. I just felt like such like an out of body experience in such a negative way that I would always go back to like that one or two outfits that I was always wearing. And you know, in college, or at least for me, it was like every weekend we were going out on Friday and Saturday, and it just was like a really hard time emotionally and mentally and physically trying to like get my body back to, you know, a healthy place. And so I always kind of struggled when it came to clothes and dressing myself and just trying to find what I felt like looked good on me and I felt confident and comfortable in. And I honestly, for years of my life, I never ever did. So that kind of has always been like a lifelong process of just feeling uncomfortable in my own skin for various reasons. So after that, I went on to graduate college, and actually, I guess I should backtrack. In my senior year of college, I stopped playing lacrosse because mentally it was just too much. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It caused extreme anxiety. And so I quit lacrosse my senior year of college, and which led to me getting a part-time job, which was honestly such a blessing because it led to, you know, the trajectory of my life. So I got a part-time job at a sports and fitness company where I was a group fitness instructor. And then I got offered a full-time position after that. So I started working full-time in June after I graduated college. So again, such a blessing. I worked for this company for over 5 years. They were so good to me. And so not playing lacrosse, you know, at the time it was so hard, but it led to, again, another story. I'm going to go on a million tangents here. I'm going to keep talking and my makeup's going to be done. So anyways, so I started getting more into health and fitness, and that was great. And so I was always just like wearing gym clothes and stuff, so I never really needed to buy clothes. So fast forward, I ended up moving back to Pennsylvania to work at one of the locations that was closer to home, and I ended up meeting a coworker. Don't ever date your coworkers. And long story short, we got engaged, and it was a very toxic, abusive relationship. And I was just so unhappy, but if you have ever been in that kind of relationship, it's easier said than done to just leave and get out. And we were engaged, so it was like I was letting all these people down. If I called it off, and I just kept thinking, well, it's going to be better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. So throughout that relationship, I was still working at the gym, and I just started buying like a couple things on Amazon, like gym clothes and stuff that I could wear to work. And so I've always like kind of felt a calling to share and to share my life. So like backtracking, back in college when I had my eating disorder, I started a blog, and this was like on WordPress, and I really liked it, and I liked writing about it. I liked sharing my experience and my story, and I got a lot of positive feedback from people in my life that could really relate to what I was sharing. And so I've always just kind of like felt that, you know, drive to share. It's always there. So when I did buy these workout clothes on Amazon, I just like posted them on my Instagram stories, especially because like I had a lot of our clients that followed me and things like that. And so I got a lot of feedback from that, and I finally started to like feel good. I was like, oh, I like these clothes. I like the way they fit. I like the way they feel in my body. So then I ventured out and I started buying, you know, just like some other like everyday life clothes on Amazon and sharing, and I continued to get positive feedback. So I like started sharing more and applying to be, I think it was Shop Style. I think it's changed the name. It's kind of like to know it, but like anyone can join. You don't have to have, you know, you don't have to be approved. So I started sharing there and blogging about it. And then I started branching out from Amazon to like Target and American Eagle and Walmart and things like that. And then the more I shared, the more I got positive feedback. But at the same time, I started this because I was so miserable in my everyday life that I was like, I need an outlet that is just like an escape from my reality. Like I hate being home, but I love this like internet life that I've created because it's full of like happiness and joy and positivity and community. And so I really just like dove into that when I was in this relationship and like spent so much time and energy focusing on that. Fast forward then to July of 2019. I was supposed to get married August 2nd of 2019. July of 2019, July 6th. A major incident went down. It got very, very scary and physical, and to the point where I thought that I was going to lose my life. And this is just like the craziest part of the story was, so one of our friends and former coworkers knew that like things were bad, and this was like hours of fighting. Like I ran out of the house at one point, and then I stupidly went back because I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I was brainwashed. So our friend knew that things weren't good, and he was at the grocery store with his wife, and he literally left his wife at the grocery store and came to our house and knocked on our door and was like, I knew something was wrong and something told me that I had to come here. And once I heard his voice, I was like, Erin, don't leave. And that is how that situation got de-escalated and how I was able to get out. And so I remember he took my ex-fiance out of the house, and I sat on my bed for like, it had to have been at least a half an hour. And I was like, okay, if I pack a bag and leave, like there's no going back. If I tell my parents, there's no recovering from this. There's no wedding. There's no like anything. And at that time we were living together. We worked for the same company. Like we were getting married in less than a month. Like my life was about to completely change. And so I actually then went to our friend's house and I talked to his wife, and she was like, Sally, this is not the first time I've seen this. You need to go. So I called my mom and dad and I was like, I'm coming home. And I just remember opening that door, and they just like were both standing right behind the door, and I just like fell into them. And I just cried and cried and cried. So again, another story that I'm happy to talk more about. I truly feel like all of these things that have happened in my life have happened for a reason, and for me to be where I'm at today, but then also to help other people maybe through situations that they're going through. So that was, it all went down July 6th. On July 7th, my mom and I drove in one car, my dad drove in another car. We packed as much stuff as we could into those two cars and moved my stuff out. I quit my job on Monday, and my entire life changed. So this was July of 2019. So then, mind you, so I still had this blog. I was still blogging, sharing clothes and things like that. So I was living at my parents' house. I was 20, I think I turned 27 on July 16th that year. So I was 26, almost 27, living at my parents' house with no job. And so I really dove into this blogging community and like just like my life of sharing clothes and things like that. And so I really feel like that is what like kind of propelled me to the next step, was sharing more clothes and just really focusing on that and connecting with the community that I built. So that was July of 2019. In August of 2019, I started serving at a local restaurant just to like actually make money, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I need to make money. So I started serving. Again, fast forward March of 2020 and the world shuts down. So thank God this all happened in 2019 and I was not stuck in a house miserable and like scared for my life. It's just another blessing how life works, just in the weirdest ways. So then the restaurant that I was working at, they like, you know, shut down. They were not operating. They were doing takeout for a little bit, but they didn't need staff. They were operating on managers. And then so I was, you know, jobless again there. So I was home with my parents for like 3 months. My mom was home. My dad was working out of the house, and it was the three of us, and we had the freaking time of our lives. I am just so blessed to have them. So then again, I would spend every day working on my blog, and at that point I was sharing a lot of like fitness things. Like I would do workouts and blog about them every day.